Hello, my name is Anshul Sharma, and I'm a product manager for Synapse Real-Time Analytics in Microsoft Fabric. By now, I hope you have heard about Microsoft Fabric, which is an all-in-one analytics solution for enterprises that covers everything from data movement to data science, real-time analytics, and business intelligence. One of the key experiences of Fabric is Synapse Real-Time Analytics, a fully managed big data analytics platform optimized for streaming and time series data. Synapse RTA provides all the amazing query capabilities, performance, and scale that customers are used to with Azure Synapse Data Explorer in a SaaSified experience. To get started with RTA, one of the first things you do is bring your data, whether it's historical data that exists in Azure, AWS, on-prem, or within OneLake in Fabric, or even real-time data coming out of different streaming sources. RTA allows you to seamlessly bring data from a wide range of sources, making it extremely easy to get data into the service and start analyzing it at scale. In today's demo, we'll focus on different options available to bring data into the service. We call it Get Data Experiences. Let's get started. All right, now we are in Microsoft Fabric. On the left bottom corner, you can switch to different experiences that are available within Fabric, such as Power BI, Data Warehouse. For now, we'll get into real-time analytics. You can see there are a few options to create new artifacts such as KQL database, where you would store your data, or your KQL query set to store your queries, or event stream to bring in real-time streaming data. For now, we will create a new KQL database. My database is now being provisioned. So my database is now ready. You can see in the DB editor screen, I get few handy options such as what is the query URI to query the data in this database, or ingestion URI to bring in data into this database, and so on. You can also see there are few options that have been highlighted to start by getting data into this particular database or to create a table. All these options are also available in the Get Data menu. You can see there is a slight distinction between one-time and continuous ingestion. So if you have historical data currently in Azure sitting on a blob or a blob container, you can easily bring that in. If you have your data present in OneLake within Fabric, you can bring that in. And if you have a small set of data on your local machine, you can also upload it seamlessly. But not just that, you can also bring in streaming data from event hubs or connect with data pipeline to different data sources that are available. We will go over a few of these options, starting with local file. So I have a stocks picker database on my local. So I'm going to create a table called stocks daily and upload my local file. Once the file is uploaded, I can move to the schema tab. In Schema tab, the system has automatically detected the schema structure based on the data in my data file and suggested to me in form of a table. At this point, I can change the data types of the columns. I can rename the columns, or I can even delete or add new column if need be. But based on the data that I've provided, this inference looks pretty accurate. So I'm going to just move to the next step. What's happening here is basically the table is being created in my database based on the data set provided, and data is also being ingested. Once the ingestion is complete, we will see a quick preview of the data into the system. So this is the data that has been ingested, and I'm just showing a quick preview. I will close the screen and go back to the DB editor. You can see I have a new table that has been created. I can see there were around 10,000 rows that were ingested. The schema was altered by me sometime back, and so on. Now let's move on to other option. We can also bring in data if that exists in OneLake. So I'll go back to my workspace, and in my workspace, I have a lake house which I'm going to open. And this lake house, yeah, this is the lake house that I have. And you can see this lake house has a blob with stock CSV, which includes additional data for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the full file URL for this particular blob, and I'm going to go back to my database and select on get data, OneLake. Now this time I am going to just select the existing table that we have created and provide the full file path along with the name of the file. At this point I can provide additional files here, but for now I'm just going to keep it simple. Now again I can move back to the schema screen, and based on the data, because the table structure is similar, I can still edit it, but for now I'm going to keep it same and just move on to ingest this data. Now in this case, the data is being ingested from OneLake. It was fairly quick, and you can see the new data is available. Now let's go back to the query editor, and you can see the row count has been updated to around 110,000. So the new data set contained around 1 lakh rows. Now, there are many more other options to bring data in. We won't be covering all of them today, but we will be releasing new videos to dive deep into each of those in the coming days. But now let's do something interesting. Since we have ingested this data, let's also try to analyze and get some insights out of it. So I can create on check your data, which is a quick way for me to analyze or run queries on top of the data set that we just ingested. So if I have to just look at, for example, the count of rows in my database, or just sample few rows and see how it looks like, I can quickly run queries here. But what I can also do is save this as a KQL query set, which is for persistence and collaboration, so that the next time I open my workspace, it would be available. I'm going to quickly save this. Okay, so now I have this query set wherein I have few queries which I have pre-prepared. And as you can see, I am selecting the same table that we ingested the data in. Uh, but what we'll do is we'll run some queries on top of this. For example, let's see how the S&P ticker has been performing over the years. And this is a nice little time chart that was returned, and we can see the overall trend has been positive. We can also look at how a specific ticker or company is performing. In this case, we can see the stock price of Microsoft over the years has been how it has been. We can also run few interesting analysis, such as probably looking at the ticker index, S&P index, see which were the days when the market crashed, right? As you can see, uh, this has returned a scattered chart, but you remember the 2008 data market crash. It you can see based on the formula, even like the start of the COVID, we can see all the data points being returned. Additionally, we can also run few additional queries, such as which stock had the biggest fall in a day over the years, and just return the top 10 stocks that are available. And you can see in terms of SBNI, bank has recently taken a big hit, and you can see the daily change percentage and so on. All right. So I hope you got a good overview of how to get started with RTA. What we saw in the demo is basically how do you create a database, what are the different options that are available, and no way these options are comprehensive. So we will be releasing new videos talking about each one of them in detail. So please stay tuned. Thank you for watching.